Business had been slow. The wizard lounged in a huge rocking chair, flipping through a book of spells for what felt like the 100th time. He craved some kind of excitement. A cockroach scuttled across the floor. He almost stomped on it, but boredom made him feel merciful instead. He pulled some dust from his pocket and tossed it at the insect. The bug began to grow and shift until it returned to the snot-nosed kid who'd tried to steal from him earlier that week. The boy, now back to human form, crouched on all fours, staring up at the wizard in confusion. The wizard snarled, "I'm feeling generous today, so count yourself lucky. Now get out before I change my mind and make that form permanent." The boy scrambled to his feet and fled. The wizard wondered if anyone had noticed the kid's absence while he'd been a cockroach for 4 days. The shop's doorbell chimed as a young woman stepped inside cautiously. She didn't look around but nervously approached the counter. The wizard skimmed a couple more pages, then closed the book to avoid appearing too eager. Slowly, he lifted his head as if just noticing her. He stood, brushed off his robes, and went behind the counter. "Good afternoon, Lucas," he said. Surprised, she hesitated. "How did you know?" And also, her girlfriend had warned her the wizard knew things, who you really are and what you truly are. He appraised her carefully. "You look like a lovely young woman. Are you sure you want to stay that way?" Lucas admitted she had thought about it. It had been 3 days since the change. At first, it was thrilling exploring her new body, trying on clothes, flirting with guys who paid for everything. She'd even shared some wild moments with her girlfriend. But the ring had only altered her physically. The world still recognized Lucas, the young man. Her driver's license and social security card still bore that name. Her parents expected Lucas home for Christmas. And Lucas was the one with the well-paying job. Being a girl was fun, but Lucas was reality. The wizard knew a great deal. He was aware she'd been a young man recently and that her name was Lucas. He understood the change was accidental but couldn't pinpoint its cause. After centuries, his sharpness had dulled, though he never admitted it. She set the bulky, unusual ring on the counter. It wasn't bought here, but her girlfriend had purchased some toys in the shop before. Her girlfriend said the wizard was the best chance to fix this. The wizard remembered Lucas's girlfriend, who had visited 8 months prior. She came, like most, seemingly by accident, though the shop only appeared to those in need. At that time, she was with another woman and sought better intimacy. "There's only so much 2 girls can do," she'd said. The wizard sold her a strap-on that was a bit more advanced. That night, his crystal ball had steamed up. That was before Arwen met Lucas. The wizard guessed she'd shifted to a more permanent heterosexual relationship. He glimpsed in Lucas's mind that he wasn't aware of Arwen's past. The wizard chuckled, thanks to this ring, Arwen was thrown back into a girl-girl situation. He eyed the ring again, surprised by its detail. This was no ordinary magical ring. "Where did you get this?" he asked. Lucas explained they'd been to a Renaissance fair recently, back when Lucas was still him. Both enjoyed dressing the part and joining in jousting, archery, weaving, and cooking. They loved fully immersing themselves in the culture. They were browsing various vendor stalls when he spotted a booth filled with rings and decided to try a few on. One stood out, a finely crafted steel ring with intricate details. He slipped it on easily but couldn't get it off. Eventually, he had no choice but to buy it since returning it was impossible. The ring wasn't tight or uncomfortable, it simply wouldn't budge. Within an hour, it transformed from steel into gleaming gold, becoming even more striking. Back home after the fair, changes had already begun. Initially, the ring was slender and feminine, but now it appeared heavier and bulkier. Lucas had grown slightly thinner. His hands and fingers had become smaller, yet the ring remained stuck. Over the afternoon and evening, the transformation accelerated. The ring gained mass, while Lucas's masculine features faded steadily. No matter what they tried, the changes couldn't be stopped. By midnight, the process was complete. The ring, once delicate and feminine, had turned large and masculine. Lucas, once broad and strong, had become slender, delicate, and fully female. Only then did the ring slip off with ease. The wizard examined the ring carefully but hesitated to wear it himself. Its craftsmanship was exquisite, rare for these times. He could sense powerful magic still lingering and doubted anything in his shop could undo it. When he asked if anyone else had worn the ring, Lucas said no. She and Arwen feared further changes or consequences until they understood the ring's true nature. The wizard agreed caution was wise. "This ring holds great magic," he said. "Unfortunately, I cannot reverse what it's done. Nothing here can counteract its power." Lucas's expression fell. "But," the wizard added, "I have a brother who might help. He's more skilled with magic like this." Lucas's eyes brightened. "Where can I find him?" she asked. The wizard chuckled. "It's less about where and more, well, follow the path to the village after you leave here. Ask around, he should be easy to find." Stepping around the counter, he slipped his arm around her and handed back the ring, then escorted her to the door. Path. Village. Lucas thought they were still inside a mall. Confused, she turned to ask the wizard what he meant, but the mall was gone. Instead, she stood before a barn at the edge of a country path. To her left stretched a vast forest, to her right rolling hills, and off in the distance sat a castle. Not Kansas anymore, Lucas thought. She faced the barn, hoping for a portal back. Suddenly, a gruff, aged voice called out, "Hey, what are you doing in my barn?" Lucas had to think fast. Magic was real, she'd been transported here somehow, but where was here? And judging by the castle, when? The voice repeated, "Hey, I'm talking to you." Quickly, she spun a tale. Turning to the man, she said, "Forgive me, sir. I'm alone on this road. My family was attacked, and I sought shelter. I was hoping for a drop of milk before heading to the nearest village." Her lie worked. The elderly man took pity and invited her inside for warmth and food. He warned the village was some distance away and night was near. He and his wife offered to host her for the night. Lucas accepted. It felt like a chance to understand her situation before moving on. The meal was simple but hearty: venison, bread, soup, and wine. She saw they lived modestly yet had been generous. She appreciated their kindness and, during dinner, shared a candid, revealing conversation. Her suspicion about when proved correct. She'd been transported to a simpler era. Hesitant to reveal too much, she asked about a local sorcerer. The couple grew quiet, then explained that sorcery was rarely discussed openly. Sorcerers were feared. Thinking quickly, Lucas explained she carried something that belonged to a powerful sorcerer and feared for her life, so she felt compelled to deliver it safely. The couple seemed relieved she wasn't involved in sorcery herself but said they couldn't help much. Sorcerers kept to themselves and were hard to find. The only well-known and trusted one was the king's advisor and difficult to reach. "Please don't tell me his name is Merlin," Lucas said with a hint of humor. "The very same. So you've heard of him?" Lucas stayed silent, lowering her head and covering her face with her hands. She already knew who the wizard's brother was. She told the couple she believed this Merlin was the sorcerer she needed to find. Understanding if they wished to avoid involvement, she still asked if they could guide her to him. The old man welcomed her to stay the night and promised to escort her to the castle the next day. Lucas gratefully accepted their kindness. The evening passed with conversation and light chores. Lucas learned she was somewhere in the English countryside, fitting since that's where the legends of Arthur and Merlin began. The time period matched too. There was no knowledge of flight, electricity, artificial light, or gunpowder. It was a simpler era. Lucas had attended Renaissance fairs before, pretending to live like this, but for these people, it was reality. They couldn't just return to warm homes and modern comforts when tired of their daily lives. To explain her presence, Lucas crafted a story. Her father was a metalworker commissioned by a great wizard to make the elaborate ring she wore. She was traveling with her father and brother to deliver it. The previous night, While gathering firewood, she heard a disturbance and returned to find their camp destroyed and her family gone. That's how she ended up here. Moved by her tale, the couple promised to help however they could. When asked her name, Lucas hesitated. Lucas wouldn't fit. The only name she could think of was her girlfriend's, Arwen. But that didn't sound English enough, so she said, "Mary is my name." As the sun set beyond distant hills, darkness cloaked the countryside. The couple led Lucas, now Mary, to a cozy loft in their cottage rafters. Soon, she was asleep on a bed of hay. Not far away, in a shadowed corner of the castle, a dark figure hunched over a bowl near a flickering fire. A rat scurried across the floor. A faintly glowing mist rose from the bowl as the figure closed his eyes, searching for a missing ring. This ring was magical and immensely powerful, intended as a gift for the king. Crafted using a lock of the king's hair and a drop of his blood, the wizard had forged a bonding ring. When the king placed it on the woman of his choosing, it would link her to him within hours. Her mind would absorb the ring's essence, binding her to the king irreversibly. The ring would transform her into the perfect woman in the king's eyes, removing any undesirable traits and replacing them with ideal qualities. As it absorbed these traits, the ring itself would grow and change. Once the transformation was complete, one final step remained. The ring would be removed from the woman's finger and placed on the king's. This act would transfer the portion of her soul that had been altered back to the king, forging a profound final bond. She would feel drawn to the king as the part of her that was once herself merged with him. The ring, moving between them, would create an unbreakable emotional and physical connection, a relationship built to endure through time. The ring was meant as a surprise birthday gift for the king. Now it was missing. While cleaning, his bumbling assistant had accidentally shattered a beaker of liquid moonlight, an extremely rare and potent substance. Used sparingly, it could amplify magic, but in larger amounts, it became dangerously unpredictable. The broken beaker caused a small explosion, creating not a hole in the floor or wall, but a hole in the air just above the shards. This void began sucking in everything nearby: beakers, parchment, anything light enough. The wizard, in the next room, heard the blast and rushed over to cast a counterspell that sealed the hole. But the damage was done. The ring had vanished. The ring was a powerful magical artifact, traceable by an expert, and the wizard was such a man. Over the past 2 weeks, he had discovered the hole was a tear in the fabric of reality. Anything pulled in wasn't just transported far away physically, but seemingly through time as well. He searched tirelessly, peering into the mist swirling within his magical bowl, scanning through time for any sign of the ring. He witnessed great human triumphs and tragic losses but found no trace of it until about 4 days ago, when he caught a faint signal. The ring seemed to be somewhere distant. But just as he zeroed in, the signal vanished, destroyed or transported once more. As his former assistant scurried away in another direction, the wizard rubbed his temples, eyes weary from the strain, then bent back over the bowl to continue searching. The ring had to be found and returned to its rightful time and place. A distant, thunderous noise roused Mary. Morning light streamed through cracks in the cottage walls. The old man climbed the ladder and shook her awake. "Quick, child, rise." She obeyed and followed him down and outside. Standing before the cottage, the elderly couple both dropped to their knees and bowed their heads. Sensing it prudent, Mary followed suit. As she knelt, her ring slipped from her pocket, landing just out of reach. She kept her head bowed but eyes fixed on the ring, determined not to lose sight of it. The noise grew louder until it stopped just outside the cottage. Footsteps approached until one figure stood before them. Head bowed, she could see only to his knees. Armor gleamed brilliantly gold. "You may rise." Mary and the couple stood, still keeping their heads bowed in respect. "Your Majesty," the couple said together. Mary remained silent. A gentle finger lifted her chin, meeting the king's eyes. Instantly, she felt drawn to him, an urge to kiss him stirring inside. Until now, she'd never desired to kiss a man, since she was still, inside, a man herself. But facing Arthur, the legendary king, she felt a bond unlike anything before and, like a schoolgirl, fell instantly in love. The king appeared equally captivated. He took her left hand, raised it just above his chest, and softly kissed her fingers. "And who, may I ask, is the goddess who graces me this fine morning?" he inquired. Mary's knees weakened, words fled her. She couldn't tear her eyes away, but was rendered speechless. From behind the king came a voice urging her to speak. Her king had asked a question. She parted her lips, but no words formed. Seeing her struggle, the old man stepped forward to speak for her. "Your Majesty, Mary here is a traveler, passing through on her way." The king raised a hand, silencing the man without breaking his gaze from the girl before him. Guinevere, such a beautiful and fitting name. She pressed her tongue to her upper teeth, summoning the courage to speak. "Thank you, Your Majesty," she stammered, bowing deeply and offering a modest curtsy. As the words left her lips, the tight grip on her voice eased, but a haze clouded her mind. Memories from weeks, days, hours, even moments before felt distant and irrelevant. All that mattered was the present. Body, heart, and soul compelled her to stand by this great man's side. "You were traveling?" the king asked. "Yes, Your Majesty," she replied. "These woods can be dangerous. Perhaps I should offer you an escort?" Lucas would have recognized this as a risky offer and declined. But Lucas was buried deep within Mary's mind, as if erased entirely. Mary accepted the king's kindness and allowed him to help her onto his horse, her arms wrapping securely around him. As the procession resumed, a faint spark of clarity pierced the fog in her mind. "Wait," she cried out. "My ring. We can't leave without my ring." Then the fog swallowed her again. She didn't understand why she'd spoken or why the ring mattered, only that it did. The king halted the procession and commanded his greatest knight to retrieve the girl's ring. The knight nodded and ordered his squire to hurry. Moments later, the squire returned clutching a dirt-covered ring. The knight cleaned it carefully, admiring the craftsmanship. He slipped it onto his own finger for safekeeping, promising to return it to the girl once they reached the castle. The king never asked where the young woman was headed, and to her, it no longer mattered. The old couple watched as the caravan resumed its journey down the road. As it vanished from sight, so did everything connected to the boy once known as Lucas. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content.